What is going down, YouTube? It's your boy Zary from Zary's Mobile Gaming back at you again to bring you a little different type of video. Now, it occurred to me when I'm doing my noob series that I talk a lot about stats. I talk a lot about damage and accuracy and crit chance and all these different things. And maybe there's somebody out there that doesn't know what they do or what they're for. And then there's people out there, and I get a lot of questions of who's the fastest character in the game, who does the most physical damage in the game. So what I did, and there's going to be a text popping up on the screen somewhere right over there about where I got this information from, and it is beadragonchampion.info. What I did is I took 10 stats, and I went through each character and I broke down what their max stat is at gear level 11 with no runes and all abilities at level 6. And I will show you the top 5 for 10. Right there. Good job, Jerry. For 10 categories. So how I'm going to do this is I am going to kind of go over the stat itself. Then there'll be some music that'll play, and you'll get to see the top 5 for that category, just so people know. So it kind of touches on both bases, that we can kind of read what it does, how it is used, we can talk about it a little bit, and then you'll see the characters who are the best. Now, there are some times where they're tied, so you might see like number 4 and then 3 or 4 characters, 2 characters, 5 characters show up on your screen. So I just thought it'd be a cool, fun video. I haven't made a top 10 video in a while, so this is kind of a different take on it, but I had a lot of fun making it, and I learned a lot about characters. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about today is speed. Now, what speed essentially is that it fills the turn gauge in combat and determines the order of heroes' turns. Seems pretty self-explanatory. Most people know what speed is, but speed determines who goes first and who goes last. Out of the 10 characters on the board, speed determines which order they go into. So the faster the speed is, they're going to go quicker. The slower the speed is, they're going to go slower. So let's check out the top 5. Now, something I should have mentioned before, but I forgot, been a long day, is that this encompasses every character in the game, whether they're out or not. beadragon.info has all the characters' stats that are visible in the game, so I use them all, because eventually we're going to get them. So I forgot to mention that. My bad. Next up, we have health. Health determines a hero's vitality. Then, when it runs out, you're dead. Health is health. When you reach 0, you're not alive anymore. The higher the health they have, the longer they stay alive. You most commonly see high health on tanks. Some of these might shock you on this list. Some of them might not. Let's get into it. Next one we are going to talk about, everybody, is the shield. The shield is extra hero vitality Once the shield is depleted, the hero starts losing health. There are certain moves in this game that can regenerate your shield. There are certain moves that can bypass a shield. There are certain moves that do extra damage when you have a shield. Eric the Shield Breaker has one of those moves, just for an example. And it's things we talk about as possibly increasing the overall survivability of the character. Health and shield go hand in hand, along with armor increasing shield. Without further ado, let's check out who has the top 5 shields. Okay, coming up next, we're going to talk about physical damage. We talk about damage a lot. Damage is broken down into 2 categories. There's physical and magic. Depending on the type of character, mostly melee characters perform physical damage, and your mages, your healers, things of that nature, they perform magic damage. So we're going to break down the top 5 physical damage characters in the game. Enjoy. So what I failed to mention is what physical damage is. Physical damage is used to calculate a hero's physical damage. It's how much they attack for, but it can be reduced by physical armor. We're going to be moving on to magic damage, so you're going to see the top 5 magic damages in the game, and that calculates, it's the same thing as physical damage, but it's based off their magical skill instead of their physical skill. Basic way to look at it is physical is punching, kicking, swinging, and magic is they use their wand and they throw something at you. Or they summon lightning bolts from the sky. That's a magic damage move. So if you're going to punch somebody, it's physical. If you're going to put a spell on them, magical. Best way I can explain it. So here are the top 5 highest magic damages in the game. So coming up next on our list is critical chance. Critical chance is the chance to have a critical hit. A critical hit, if you don't know, is more damage than your average hit, and it only procs based on your critical chance. So somebody like Snorri, Reval, Ember, you want to have a high critical chance. And like we learned from noobs, foul, because it could play into their remove kit. So we want to have the critical chance high on a damage dealer. But also what people fail to realize is critical chance, you can, when you're healing somebody, you can get a crit on your heals as well. So it's not as common to stack a healer with critical chance, but it will help them crit on a heal. It does happen, because heals in this game are based off magic damage. So without further ado, here is the top 5 base critical chances in the game. Okay, next up on the list is Potency. Potency's finicky. There's certain things that go into Potency, and there's a lot of math that goes behind Potency. So I'm going to try to break it down. But according to the game, affects the chance to apply combat effects to enemies. So if you have a character that can put burning, let's say, onto a character with their basic ability, like a Singeal or a Corcorum, what happens is it has to go through 2 checks. Okay, the first one is, so let's just say that ability has a 70% chance to apply burning. So it rolls a 1 through 100. If it's higher than a 30, it is going to pass the first check. Then what it does is it does a potency tenacity check. And the way that works is if you have 60% potency on your character and the person you're going against has a 30% tenacity, your potency tenacity check is 30. So you take 30 minus 100 and you're at 70. So if your roll is above a 70, then you will apply that debuff. So it is hard to try to me it's confusing, but it is probably the best way to do it, and it's done in milliseconds based on the code written by the devs. That is Potency. So without further ado, we are going to find out the top 5 highest base potencies in the game. Enjoy. So coming up next on the list is Tenacity. Now, Tenacity is the opposite of Potency, like we explained. If you have a high Tenacity on your character, affects the chance to resist combat effects from enemies. So somebody you want high Tenacity on is a healer or a person who puts a lot of debuffs or buffs onto your team, and especially your tank. You want your tank to have high tenacity because if he doesn't taunt, that means they can go after your damage dealers and just wipe the board. So having a high tenacity means you can stay in the fight. So without further ado, let's look at the top 5 highest base tenacities in the game. Alright, so next up we are going to talk about penetration. Now, penetration isn't on a rune. it isn't something that you really see in moveset at all. Why am I talking about it? Penetration can be huge, and it's one of like the hidden stats in the game that if you pay attention to can really help you out. Penetration used in calculating damage for abilities. It reduces enemies' physical and magic armor. I didn't talk about armor in this video because there are so many ties in armor that I could have done a 10-minute video just showing you armor. But what armor does is it reduces physical and magical damage depending on if it's physical armor or magic armor. If you look at it, it says reduces damage from physical damage abilities and reduces damage from magic damage abilities. So I don't really want to get into the 20 guys or girls in this game that are all tied for armor. But penetration is big because say somebody stacks armor, that is on runes, that is a buff you can see on a character that they can give. So what you're looking for in penetration is if they have a higher penetration and you stack them with damage, they're going to hit harder. They're going to cut down somebody's armor, high armor, they're going to cut through that and hit harder than your average character. So without further ado, let's look at the top 5 base penetrations in the game. Okay, the last stat we are going to talk about is lifesteal. Lifesteal determines the amount of health restored by most abilities. So what'll happen is if you're playing the game and you hit somebody, and let's just say you do 100 damage, and you might see a little green 10 pop up above your character. What lifesteal is it takes a percentage of the amount of damage you did and then restores your health by that percentage. So having a higher lifesteal definitely increases the survivability of your character. So it is one of those, again, a hidden stat in the game that can just help you out a little bit. Now, it's not going to heal you for hundreds of thousands of health, but it could maybe make you survive one more hit. So without further ado, let's get into the top 5 base lifesteals in the game. So there are some stats I didn't use in this, and I'm going to explain to you why. So let's go through them. Power, we're not going to show power. The overall power of a character is very skewed based on their strength, and when you put on runes, it always pretty much adds the same within a point, so I didn't really see that. Popularity is just how people are using them. We did physical damage, we did magic damage, we did critical chance. Critical damage, now that's the amount of that you hit for on a critical hit. It's always 150. Every character starts with 150. Same thing with accuracy. Every character at max level and at 1 all have 100% accuracy. So there's no reason to do that. We did health. Now I already talked about the armors. The same thing with dodge. Every character has 2% dodge at level 1 or at level 80. Gear level 1, gear level 11. We did shield, we did speed, we did potency, we did tenacity, and we did lifesteal. So I just wanted to explain that, why I chose what I chose. Okay, YouTube, that's what I got for you. That is my 10 lists of 5. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I just wanted to make it because I thought it was fun and interesting. So I am working on goblins for noobs. That should be out in the next day or two. So I hope everybody enjoyed the video. We are getting closer to the 250 subscriber mark, so please make sure that you're clicking that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. Leave me comments so I can respond to you and we can have some cool interaction. Find me on Discord, let's chat. I hope everybody's doing good. I hope everybody is safe. This is Zary, signing out.